What's going on, guys? Blazing Tech. And in today's video, I just want to retouch a subject that I kind of blazed a trail on for the 2014 to 21 Nissan Frontier slash 2014 to 15, or whatever years. I think it was 14 to 15 Xterra with this particular Rockford Fosgate head unit. This is the nav unit, and essentially in a prior video that has done pretty well on YouTube, I outlined how I went ahead and upgraded the head unit to an Apple CarPlay unit and all the wiring, etc., etc. Now, as you can see, this is not a CarPlay head unit. And for reasons that I'm going to discuss here in this video, I went ahead and went back to stock, which is a little controversial, but let's go ahead and get into it. So let's address the elephant in the room. I had a magnetic mount up here, and you can see that the adhesive residue is still kind of here from those magnetic mounts. And essentially what ended up happening is that I used hand sanitizer to try and clean it off, and I rubbed a little too hard, and I rubbed the paint clean off of this. Now it's super duper 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 annoying, but hey, if this video does really well, I'll go ahead and get a new center dash. I actually have to get this whole center dash piece, and it's about 200 bucks. Alas, that's neither here nor there. So why did I switch back to the stock head unit? Reason number one being that this is the Pro-4x Xterra, so I do a decent amount of wheeling. I try and get out and do some trips every so often. I've got a nice little rooftop tent set up. Essentially, no matter what generation Frontier you have, as long as it's a D40, the dash kit for these doubled-in stereos is not the best at keeping the head unit secure. Essentially, all these dash kits, if I pop this map cubby out, there's only two big screws right back here and here. And that's where the aftermarket dash kit attaches to allow you to put a doubled-in head unit in the Nissan Frontier. Now you can watch that on other videos. Essentially, what ends up happening is the stock unit actually screws into the center dash as well. So this is super duper sturdy. So when you're driving on washboards and you're doing trails and stuff, it's not very sightly to have your head unit kind of rattling around. And obviously I use screws, I use good washers, I use great hardware. It's just nature of the beast with a dash kit that your head unit is not going to be as secure as obviously the factory head unit. And since I was wheeling this, putting that back and having it not wiggle and shake around and being very, very sturdy was a good plus for me. Along the same lines as the wiggling, essentially, there was a mess of wiring going on back there to, add that secondary wiring harness for an aftermarket head unit in to this Nissan Frontier. And the problems that I was having with that head unit was, for whatever reason, the steering wheel controls here could not differentiate toggle up from toggle down. So I lost functionality in the steering wheel controls, which wasn't a big deal because I was able to map them and have them do whatever I wanted. But if you drive multiple vehicles and you kind of forget, or somebody else drives it, they're going to be like, what the hell, what's going on? And to me, that was a little Mickey Mouse. I mean, I've had this truck since day one, and I like things to be pretty plug and play, and I want everything to work. So that was a little annoying. That was reason number two. And reason number three just being that, generally speaking, the way that this head unit and sound system is wired, this does have the Rockford Fosgate sub, as you know. It's a 10 speaker audio system. So you've got a tweeter up in the front. You've got a pretty big size door speaker here. Got components in the rear. And then you have two baby subs right here. I think this is SKR. So I always forget. I forget what brand it is, but you got the subs back here. And probably another important thing that nobody would really have this perspective unless you changed your head unit out and then you went back to stock like me. This head unit synthesizes, this amplifier synthesizes the input to the subwoofer in such a strange way. This is a very complex stereo system here, guys. I showed you all the speakers. The amp and everything synthesizes the information accordingly, and it comes out pretty good. I will say from factory, this is pretty muddy in terms of the mids, and that's really where the aftermarket head unit and all the line out channels and everything that I talked about in the other video shone through, because I was able to really tune those mids way better than this Fosgate. And unfortunately, with that, with the way that this amp synthesizes the output to the subwoofer, the aftermarket head unit just was not as bassy as the Rockford Fosgate. Now, this thing packs a huge wallop in the bass department with the stock head unit in compared to my aftermarket head unit. But again, my aftermarket head unit, I was able to really tune because it had way more equalizer settings. Here you only have treble and bass, and there I had, you know, a 14 or a 15 band equalizer. So take that as what you will. Obviously, gaining more bass is a plus, but then not being able to tune that mid-range frequency is a huge minus, in my opinion. With aftermarket wiring here on this particular head unit, you're never going to really retain all of the factory bass. Now, if you have a very great understanding of the wiring diagram here, maybe you can do it. And that's something that I kind of want to talk to Crutchfield about, because when I first bought this truck, there wasn't very much support for aftermarket in terms of changing this head unit out. Now they make ready to go wiring kits, but I strongly doubt that they're using anything different than line out channels like I used. So take that for what you will. I hope this video informs somebody to make an informed decision on whether or not they want to change their head unit out on their 2014 to 2021 Nissan Frontier or Xterra.